human interaction in online, which of course cannot be exchanged in face-to-face mode. So that if you have possibility, we would really appreciate. We are not a big group today, so whenever you would like to come in with comment, you would like to ask, just raise hand and mute and speak up freely. If you prepare to ask question in written, please use chat. We have Guillermo following the chat. He will bring forward your question. Each of us, we have our own sustainability journey, and our own programs have sustainability journey as well as projects. So we really encourage open sharing, listening with patience and respect, and really avoid judging. So let's be kind to each other, support and have a very good discussions. Now, Anika says I should talk why we as Interreg started to work on this topic. Many of us in Interreg come from the programs, and I think we felt sometimes that sustainability is treated as one of the checkbox and without changing too much our everyday behaviors in the organizations, projects and programs. So maybe we felt a little bit of disappointment. I would say that we experience also joy and inspiration because then preparing for those two sessions, both in the Interreg Knowledge Fair in Riga in March and here, we explored also guidance documents, events lists, in the website. So we explored program manuals, and we noticed that this programming period approach changes really a lot. Programs are changing their team practices, they are educating, raising awareness, trying to inspire projects, and that's really a nice experience next to reading just about need to meet sustainability requirements. And the third but not the least important reason is enormous potential for change. If we change a little bit in our everyday actions in projects, in programs, we could have a ripple effect and have a really big change in whole Interreg community. And now I would like to present very shortly objective and setup of our webinar. We often the driver of change in the Interreg. But the question, are we always aware of that role, power and responsibility? And maybe we would like to ask, could we do more to be a driver of this sustainability in our Interreg community? And we aim today to provide online space to exchange, share, learn about this topic, and we aim to explore programs' interest for further work together in this field, and maybe also such ideas we interact with our maybe new services, new events, new documents could be helpful for the programs. Firstly, we will have a short presentation, very short from our side. As I mentioned, several great presentations from programs. And then after the first part devoted to the presentations, we will exchange and group discussions. But I would like to note that we will primarily focus in this event on the environmental aspects of the sustainability. But of course, this does not mean that you need to restrict your group discussions to only that aspect. Because, for example, there are very important questions which I will not cover in our presentation. For example, do our projects build sufficiently on the results of previous programming periods projects or other supported projects? Are project solutions developed with the involvement of all necessary stakeholders and local communities to ensure they are relevant and used after the project ends? One more very important question, do our projects produce mainly sufficient quality and relevant outcomes? maybe those aspects I will leave you to choose to cover or not in your group discussions, and maybe we will leave and tackle with our services also in future. And this webinar will not go into a survey of legal requirements, how to understand those. This is meant really for very practical on-ground exchange and learning from each other and designing maybe also future work together. Before we move to our short introductory presentation, we would like again to use poll and ask several questions from you. And you see now on the screen the first question. Nico, could you then launch poll? And we just click yes or no. Do you have a responsible person assigned in your program? Okay, let's wait a while we get enough answer.
Okay, and I think the answer is pretty clear that the majority does not have.
But we have several, some answers having those people. Could you wave those people if you are with camera who have a responsible person in your program? I'm now trying to check. I see Christina Bauer. Nice to see that. I didn't see any other. If you waved, I didn't notice, please just shout out loudly. And let's move maybe to the second question. Do you promote sustainability in program guidance, meaning that you just not only list sustainability requirements, but also, for example, explain or provide explanations what you expect in the field of sustainability from your projects, let's say in videos you produce or in program manual, or maybe you devote some specific time in your events to the projects to talk about that topic. For example, lead applicant seminar, lead partner seminar, or maybe you have specific events even devoted to the sustainability field. So if you have some specific attention in addition to the requirements, please click yes. And do we have replies?
We do.
Hey.
Can you see them?
Yes, very interesting. 56 and 56. I would expect to be divided in 100%, but I 6 and
I think it's
56.
because we left multiple choice. So maybe some people
Okay,
said clicked yes or no. That means that in a
okay,
way
that
you are
explains.
promoting sustainability in your program through one ways that we showed as example. If you have it in your program manual, or if you're mentioning it in some events or in some program action. But in the meantime, we know that there's still more that can be done, or maybe you feel like you could do more.
Perfect. But that's really good. Thank you very much for participating and answering to those poll questions. I think it was very good insight. But now let's continue and go for a moment a little bit outside our everyday practices and reflect where we are now. You might heard or noticed that the importance of the project field is increasing lately, and according to the Harvard Business Review, 90 million people are expected to work in the project management by 2027. We know Sustainable Development Goals adopted, I guess, in 2015 by the United Nations, and we have quite different approaches to that also in Interreg programs. Quite recently is in place Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, which is mainly meant for the private big companies, according to which large companies will have to publish regular reports on social and environmental risks they face, and explain how their activities impact people and environment. And I think the rules will started to apply from 2024, so this year till in 4 years' time, all for whom is applicable will have to apply it. What we have in Interreg, you see in blue color, we have do no significant harm principle, we have taxonomy regulation article 17, we have strategic environmental assessment. Opinions about those requirements are quite diverse, at least judging from our Interreg knowledge session experience. We will not go into that. We see that programs list also new Bauhaus initiative, European Green Deal, provide explanations. There are also international standards devoted to that, and many more initiatives. So the field of the requirements and initiatives is quite diverse. But what we can see that, if to summarize this, let's go next, Nico, that project management and sustainability are currently regarded as trending, but I would say quite separate fields. One more click. And meaning that project, we explain to programs, and we explain very often that project is limited in time to reach certain goals with certain finances, and this model is called project triple constraint. And somewhere else, in some different place in the manual, let's say, or some different timing in the event, we present also sustainability requirements. For example, the very often definition of it is sustainability 3Ps. And what happens having such setup? Project managers in our programs are very often so concentrated to meet time, cost, and scope constraints that sustainability requirements, they are often a little bit left out. And not because of not knowing, not being able to tackle, just maybe not enough resources, and we need new habits. And maybe it would be helpful if we integrate those two fields. But how? Maybe we could use a theoretical model called the project triple bottom line. It integrates sustainability aspects related to people, profit, and planet into each of the project life cycles. For example, it is meant that planning of projects should happen with close participation and cooperation with stakeholders, local communities, and that sustainability aspect should be considered next to other important issues like time plan, cost, scope on equal basis, both in the design phase of the project solutions, implementation, and monitoring of it. Maybe projects should be worried not only about that solutions are of good quality, but maybe one of the important characteristics of good solutions should be that they are sustainable to the possible extent. And maybe sustainability could be important characteristic in real life, how we define a good quality project. Maybe, next slide, we could use more often sustainable project management principles instead of project management principles. I will not go into definition, but basically it's the same, that we integrate those sustainability aspects in all project life cycle timeline. But as with many things, I think it starts with individuals, with our personal and on organizational choices, and maybe even that's enough for the time being. We don't need new theories and new requirements. It's quite self-evident, I guess, for all of us, but it's confirmed also by studies that project managers plays crucial role in the facilitation of the sustainable project management. And can we as programs play more active role in here and facilitation this field to our many project managers in our projects and our supported projects. And as you see, we don't have mandate recipes or recommendation list at the moment, just some reflections based on analysis of online resources and research we did on this topic when preparing to those events. And the great thing is, whether slower or faster, depending on each specific case, I think we are really steadily moving towards more sustainable Interreg. And thanks to programs, I think, and also our project. And here, I would like to give floor now to several programs. And I think that you got our idea, my idea, that it is important to consider sustainability in several aspects: personal, family, organization, etc. And I suggest that we start with personal. I would like to give floor to Marika Nietebold from Central Baltic Program to share her personal sustainability journey. Marika, floor is yours.
Thank you. So I will share a few slides for this presentation. Let me find. I hope it's in presentation mode at the moment for you.
It is. Thank you.
Super. And then it should, of course, move as well, which it does not. Why? Ah, yes, super. So thank you for the invitation. I was invited to speak also at the Interreg Knowledge Fair. And what I'm talking about today is similar, but different. So if you want to hear what I said in Riga, I did it by video, and that video can be found, I think, on the Central Baltic website or through our website, because there I focused a little bit more on the program, and this is going to be a little bit more about personal reflections and why, in a way, I'm here speaking to you. So I think why originally I got involved in these topics is that I'm by nature a person who's very interested in how the world works, and not only understanding how the world works, but when I've identified something, then I also want to act on it. And from quite early years, I realized that things like energy efficiency, climate change, they are things that are very relevant to us. And I kind of, over the years, I paid attention to these things. I studied environmental issues as part of my master's degree, and I've been collecting information from here and there, putting the puzzle pieces together and realizing all the time how important this field is and how exactly those puzzle pieces come together. On the top, you will see a few words of Finnish. That is because I am a good friend of copy pasting. I apologize for that. But the bottom part is in English. So this just illustrates where we are now and how quickly things have developed for the worse over the last years. So scientists have identified 9 different planetary boundaries, and they look regularly at where we stand with them. And if you look at the last picture from 2024, scientists have identified that out of 9 planetary boundaries. We have crossed 6. And these are all things where basically our survival depends on these things. And you can probably, you will get the slides, I assume, so you can have a closer look. But I mean, even without knowing about the 9 planetary boundaries, by looking at news, we still regularly hear about extreme weather events, about heat records being broken constantly now, about the maritime, the ocean temperature being at a record high, ice melting. But these, in the news, they tend to be kind of individual news, and they are maybe not packaged as comprehensively as this picture does. So yeah, we are at a really bad place when it comes to the well-being of the planet. And here we have, or I put a picture of what the challenge for capping our CO2 emissions is like. So you see basically a nice steady growing of CO2 emissions. And then in order for us to meet the target of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees, which is, according to scientists, something that we could probably survive in as the society that we know now. Basically, we need basically a free drop of CO2 emissions. So the challenge ahead is very big. We cannot continue with status quo or kind of doing very small changes, but we need to readjust or adjust. The good thing is that we actually have all the information that is needed. Science has for decades told us what needs to be done. The good thing is also that we more or less we have the tools that are needed. And the good news is also that we as Interreg and as an EU funding program have, like Monica showed on the slide, we actually have also at our disposal a lot of the tools, because we are doing EU policy, and EU is very strong on Green Deal, on climate neutrality. There are a lot of, and also more directives than what were listed on the slide. So basically we have the backbone to do this. We also can do it because we, and I mean us collectively, I dare say very much at the core of the problem. If you listen to my IKF video, you will hear good examples. So I will not repeat them all, but I will just give a very quick summary of basically we in the West tend to maybe think that the way we live is kind of normal and acceptable. But to be completely honest, we are quite unusual in the global scheme. So the level of or intensity of flying, for instance, that we consider probably quite normal, is on a global scale completely unique. So we are among basically the 1% of people emitting most of the greenhouse gases related to flying. The same for income. I dare say we are all in the top 10% of richest people in the world, which we might not think because we are in kind of a group of similarly well-off people. But if we look at it globally, then that is how it is. And that means that we actually are part of the problem, but therefore also very much part of the solution if we so choose. And I put here 2 pictures of brains and human heads, and that is related to how we as people seem to work. So I put on the top, I put kind of a picture of with brains to illustrate things that I have been reading about why on earth it is so difficult for us as human beings to grasp the severity of the situation. I mean, if you look at the first slide with the 6 out of 9 crossed planetary boundaries, that is actually like shocking and horrendous news. But somehow we managed to walk away from that picture and then quite soon could have continued life as if everything was completely fine. And I will say, I have several times been kind of frustrated and not understanding how it can be that we just act like there's no crisis at all. And I was recently reading a very good book on the human brain, which explains in very many pages why it is that we are in this situation. So the human brain, it developed to deal with problems such as a bear attacking you. And that was a nice and straightforward problem. Unfortunately, our brain is kind of still in that level of maturity, but the problems that we are facing are very, very different. So our brains are very good at protecting us from threats, so good that they kind of threaten our existence. So there are a lot of different biases, for instance, that our brain does to protect the coolness and well-being and harmony inside us. And for instance, things like putting up a picture of planetary boundaries crossed can lead the brain to be so distressed that our brain quickly deals with the information so that it blocks things and wants to calm us down. There are also things such as distance. So it is for our brain very difficult to cope with things that are expected to happen in 2035 or 2050, let alone 100 years. So for our brain, the immediate satisfaction and immediate reward will always be prioritized over a potential benefit that our child or grandchild in 50 years will receive. So, and the same with distance. So if we see, I don't know, droughts in Africa, it will affect and motivate us less to behave or to act than maybe a flood in Germany. So again, our brain playing tricks on us. I will maybe mention a few more biases. One thing called single action bias. So we are also very good at telling to ourselves that if I don't take the plastic straw with my drink, then I've done enough and I've actually done something for the environment. It's just not enough, but my brain tells me that I've been a good person. Or the optimism bias, which leads us to believe that everything will work out to the end, everything will be good, and maybe we don't take the action that we would need. And finally, maybe the bystander effect, which leads us to think that someone else will deal with this. So for me, understanding these not trends, but I mean the way the brain works was really very helpful in understanding that it's not that we as a group are I don't know, stupid or bad, but it's just really a lot to do with how we are hardwired. The good news still is that we actually can do it. We can be aware of these biases and the way our brain works, and we can bit by bit do better. And let me just quickly check my notes. Yes. So more on the good news, because like Monica actually said, basically none of our actions are just ours. Whenever I make a decision about how I travel, what I eat, how much I consume, it will have effects on possibly a lot of people. So we are social beings and we like to do things the way other people are doing. And therefore, just leading by example or challenging certain norms about maybe flying for holidays every year because that's how we learn to do it, or to think that we must escape Nordic winters and we must get the sun, that can have an impact on the family and friends around us, but through social media also reach many more people. And if we talk about the workplace, whenever we as programs organize events or our projects do things, or the way we set up our programs and maybe build the content, it will have an impact. So there's also quite a lot of debate sometimes about things like, but my individual actions or your individual actions don't change anything. It's the big corporations, they need to change. It's China that needs to change. And I'm really sick and tired of all these delaying excuses. I think now is really the time for all of us to take action, big, small, rarely, often, everything counts. And again, none of what can be labeled as individual action is actually an individual action, because we are completely interlinked. I think I speeded through most of what I wanted to say. Maybe I will link to the last slide by saying that this is also a lot about motivation and finding what motivates you. The last slide I have is maybe something that motivates me. I'm a very duty-oriented person and a very, I think, quite a fact-based person. So for me, if I see that something is right, I believe I have to do it. For someone else, the motivation might be your own health, and you're triggered to maybe take the bike or to eat more plant-based because it's good for your health. For someone else, it is being a pioneer in something, and you can find the satisfaction through being an anarchist and doing things differently, or whatever motivates you. So I think that is it. So I suggest we stop, or we don't listen to those who are not interested in science. I think we become more aware of how our brain is trying to appease us and lull us into inaction. And then I finish with, in Interreg, we are a big community and we have the power and we can make a huge difference. And yeah, those are my thoughts on this topic.
Thank you so much, Marika. I would like still to suggest that you share your one personal, very inspiring fact. I know you have it.
I have many, I think.
Yes.
Hey, can I say?
I think, but one very, very amazing achievement, a milestone, which for me is
was it traveling to Santiago de Compostela? Yes.
And that you are, I think, flight free.
Yes. In my personal life, I used to be one of those people who thought I must travel in order to exist. And I still travel, but I haven't flown in my personal life since 2019, 18, 19. I still travel a lot, and for work, sometimes Interreg makes me fly, but very rarely nowadays. And I thank online for that, and also a good employer. So yeah, for the Interreg annual event, I decided to do what is possible and take the train from Helsinki to Santiago de Compostela. And now I will actually travel to Valencia in just a couple of weeks, because the Interact Monitoring Committee is there and I will participate in that. And I am super excited. And I wanted to say that in case someone is on Instagram, I am there with the name Merikke Loving Life, and I'm sharing my train stories and other fun glamorous things there.
Add it to the chat, please, Merikke.
Sorry?
Add it to the chat so we can follow you.
Ah, I will do, yes. Yes, because I think saving the world it's kind of necessary, because I want to keep living a good life, but it's also a lot of fun and excitement, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Merikke, for sharing your approach and also sharing insights from books you have read. I must say you surprised me. I made some notes for myself, and I think it was really good to hear scientific explanation why we behave like we behave. Then we are more aware, and it is maybe easier to change our behavior. And I think some time ago I read one sentence that you will never make an impact on society if you don't change yourself. It was said by Nelson Mandela, and I believe you are living an inspired example of it. So thank you for sharing. And dear participants, would you like to reflect on what Merikke just shared, or ask some questions from Merikke? Okay, Merikke, thank you for sharing your Instagram. If you got interested, please really follow, use that opportunity. Thank you, Merikke. At least I don't see questions for the time being. Of course, you will have possibility also to ask later.
One question?
Yes, please.
If I can have one. Because you're kind of being a role model, or also, I guess, promoting to live more sustainable, or talk with friends, talk with colleagues, talk with project holders. I know the answers, and I know people say I have to fly and I need my beach somewhere and good weather and no rain and so on. But do you feel already that also your example kind of creates maybe people who at least try to live also a bit more in that sustainable way and take the train and choose maybe closer destinations, or for the projects choose a city where is a good train connections, for example? Do you have such positive experience already to share?
Yes. Thank you for asking, because this is, I mean, for instance, this Instagram, and yeah, I put it up because I really wanted to try to make a difference. And I must admit that I notice it happening. It's slower than I would like, and it's not, I can't save the world, even though I would like to, but I cannot. But I have examples of really people saying that they wanted to try to take the train because they have seen me do it. And I can count 5 easily people who've literally said that. And and I really do believe, like I said about this, us being social animals, I really do believe that this is how we work. And seeing that example from someone does help. And then the more there are, it just brings more momentum.
Thank you, Merikke. Great to hear that you make impact
in
also in that field. Yeah.
I just saw that someone asked for the name of the book. Unfortunately, it is in Finnish. I hope either someone translates it very quickly, or yeah, I can share the name absolutely, but it's going to be in Finnish.
Or maybe you can make a post on Instagram with some
I
more
have made,
ideas.
I have made it.
Oh, so I need to check also myself. Okay, thank you. And I see Christina Bauer, your hand raised. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So Mary gave many thanks for your input, and I really always appreciate when you give an input at any of the events, and one really sees that you do what you mean and you live what you say, and it's always good to see. And I think that also we as programs, as Interreg programs, we can do a difference. And what we also try in the Alpine area, in the Alpine Space Program is, simply to encourage members of our team, of the Joint Secretariat, Managing Authority, to do it similarly. And we had some time ago, we established some rules or some possible solutions, what we can do in our daily work to limit the impact and to act and behave more sustainable. So we try to organize green events. We try to motivate our project partners to think more in sustainable terms. And also we also try to go to and do our business trips by train as often as we can. On the other hand, we have to face some limitations. So we're working for public administration, and of course, I would have to argue. And if it would take me 2 working days to go somewhere by train, my superior might ask me and might say, "Why don't you take the plane? And you could be there in 2 hours and save also time of the employer." So this is something why we always have to find a balance between the things that we would love to do and between this plain and strict thinking of administrations who have other principles they follow. And it's a challenge, but I think the more of us sharing these thoughts and living good examples, it could be at a time more and more people thinking the same ways, and so that we really can bring a change. Thank you for your input.
Thank you so much, Christina. It was lovely to hear. I was very, very happy to see you speaking and seeing real people behind your nice and inspiring examples in your guidance documents. So I really wish that you can stay with us till the second part and share in the group what more are you doing. And what I would like also to encourage before I move to our next speaker, that really make an effort and check America's video recording. We will try to share it also in our Interreg account, but go and check Central Baltic. Maybe you will get some other ideas and inspiration. So preferably, I would say try to find in Central Baltic, but if not, if it's easier in Interreg, because she provided also different and very interesting perspectives and very different questions to answer to yourself, or if you don't know, to guess. So I gave a hint. But now, so again, thank you very much for questions, for sharing reflections. Now I suggest that from personal perspective, let's move to the program experience. And I would like to invite our speaker, Sophie from Interreg Euromed, to share their program sustainability journey of their several programming periods. Let's listen to it. Sophie, floor is yours. Warm welcome to share your program experience.
I'm now sharing my screen. Okay, do you see it in full screen? It's okay?
Yes, perfectly. We see in presentation mode. You are
Thank you for the invitation once again. I'm very happy to be here and after Marike to give some also information or insights on how we try that program really well to make some steps for a change at the level of the program and of our project. So first of all, it's important to explain the global approach adopted by the program towards sustainability in the last years and the way forward. First of all, let's clarify here that we speak about sustainability in terms of environmental protection, climate change, the reduction of the carbon footprint of the program and the projects here, not about the sustainability of results through valorization, amplification of results, and capitalization, which is something else. We work a lot on it, but it's not the focus of this presentation. So in the 14-20 period, we have supported some punctual initiatives going towards the reduction of carbon footprint already, starting of course from the eligibility, of course, for carbon emissions compensation for those that take the plane still, and also until the adoption of guidelines promoted by some of our horizontal projects, who developed and proposed guidelines for sustainable events. And we as a program, we decided to adopt those recommendations and to include them in our program manual so that they can be endorsed by our projects. And this has led to a real change in institutions' public procurement, starting from the managing authority one, because it was difficult for us to apply some green criteria in our public procurements, and mainly for the organization of the events. And thanks to that, we were able to, at the level of a region, to start a change in the public procurement rules of the region, the regional authority, and start putting some criteria related to environmental sustainability in our public procurements. And we saw that thanks to those guidelines, many other institutions, public and private, in the Mediterranean area have changed those rules internally. Furthermore, to follow up concretely on the measures and actions that were taken by the projects to apply the horizontal principles of the European Union on sustainable development, equal opportunities, equality between men and women, we designed an online self-assessment questionnaire to be filled in by the lead partners of the project at the beginning of the project and at the end of the project, so that we could monitor the progress of the activities linked to those principles implemented by the projects. And we decided to continue these actions and to enhance them in the 21-27 period. So we included in our program manual recommendations on green and inclusive events. For the horizontal principles, we do not use another questionnaire now, but we assess the horizontal principles in the assessment phase of the project, first of all, and we monitor their implementation and the evolution of the objectives in that perspective during the progress report through the HIT template and gems we use on the fundamental rights, the gender equality, the discrimination, sustainable development, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, for which we will have a dedicated work done by our governance projects in order to support all our thematic projects on the contribution to some of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And also, of course, we do what we need to do about the do not significant harm principle, which means also that everything that is designed about investments in our projects are done in this way to avoid any harm in the environment, So what we promote is also an approach of reduction of carbon emissions from the design phase of the projects. So the main actions that can have an impact in terms of carbon emissions are, of course, travels and the organization of the events, but also the day-to-day implementation of projects. So in the program manual, we have a list of indicative preventive actions that are recommended to be followed by all the projects so as to reduce their environmental impact. These actions refer to communication activities, dissemination of products, organization of events, and you can see here some concrete examples. Most part of the carbon emissions of the project derive from, as we said before, the travels and the organization of events. But in the global approach of sustainability of the project, it's important also to take into account also the communication of the project sustainability. So it's important to consider awareness raising of stakeholders, citizens involved or targeted by the project. And this is also something we really favor in the implementation of the projects in order also to make a change in the behaviors of our targets. And in line with the objective of the program, which is to support the transition towards a climate neutral and resilient society. Of course, the environmental and social dimension of sustainability should be an integral part of each project activity, from its conception until its closure. So all the partners should comply with the Green Deal principles, the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and also any national sustainable development strategies. And they are requested to assess the potential harmful effects of their actions and prevent from planning actions leading to have a significant impact on the environment and the climate. So this is why we enhance the contribution to natural solutions, climate mitigation, neutrality, and social solidarity are promoted in our projects. But more than that, we ask projects to include measures that will assist in diminishing the environmental impact of the project activities by itself. And to this end, we decided to apply a carbon footprint reduction and monitoring of all project activities. And for that, we launched a call at the end of the 14-20 period dedicated to fund projects that will create a methodology and a tool that could be used by all our projects in the 21-27 period in order to monitor and reduce their carbon footprint. So from the projects, the 2 projects that were approved and run on this issue, we have selected the tool and the methodology of one of them. And the general rules we apply for all our projects is to think about the reduction of the carbon emissions by the design phase, to have a mandatory activity to monitor and calculate their carbon footprint. And at the beginning, we thought that also projects could directly propose to fund some offsetting actions. However, finally, we decided that considering also the availability of compensation projects in the territories of the program area, the duration of the project, etc., we thought that it would be better to think about the possibility to develop an offsetting action for all the projects at the program level at the end of the programming period. So also this action of offsetting would be one big action for all the projects. So a bigger action with a larger impact than each project trying to offset something at the very end of the project. So to start developing the methodology and the tool we have now we are using now, the project has launched a survey to all ongoing projects at that time to assess their actions, to collect expectations, etc. And it's like that we saw that a lot of projects follow sustainable guidelines, but only few of them track or report on them, and were able to really report on their travels, their waste, their all these the energy they use to work for the project, etc. So this is why finally the tool, we decided that the tool should have some expectations, and most of all should be really easy to be used, simple to be used. And let's say that this tool has been designed by project partners, so Interreg practitioners, meaning that really it has been done in a way to be user-friendly to partners implementing projects, not to be seen as something like an administrative burden that is added to all the administrative burden we can have in the implementation of an Interreg project, but or like with a soft, let's say, how to say, involvement in terms of time and resources to use it. It has been specifically designed for the EuroMed program. It's linked to GEMS application form and the contact data we use in GEMS. We have a carbon footprint reference for each project, which has access to the tool. So and there is a direct and the tool takes directly the information from GEMS, from the application form. So how it's built? So we have the footprint calculator. The data can be monitored based on the tool developed, and the idea is that we don't need any advanced technical knowledge to collect or compile the data. It's really produced on a best effort basis, let's say. So we took some different variety of sources for the conversion factors used in the calculator, including scientific literature, official EU documentation, life cycle assessment datasets, etc. And either the project can insert manually in the tool the information, the data, or they can also compile all the data from all the partners in an Excel file and upload it in the system. So it's really easy for the reporting. And in this tool, you have the metrics on project carbon emissions and also strategies to mitigate them. And we apply it at two levels with two scopes. At application stage, you have here the simplified calculator, where you don't need to log in, but you can already, by the design of your activities, try to see what would be potentially the carbon footprint of the activities as you plan them, and maybe modify the plans in order to reduce the carbon footprint from design. And once your project has been approved and is under implementation, you log in and you enter directly the information you have with all the partners, the work package, etc., etc. In a simplified way, we will go through it directly, I propose, because it's better than to have some slides. So let me share directly, yes, the tool here. Okay. So here I have already logged in, okay, and I can see the project information. You see the tool, right? Okay. The project information is taken directly from GEMS, the short description, etc. The list of the partners of the project. Here you have the project structure with all the work packages, activities, deliverables, etc. Everything is taken from GEMS directly. Here you can import the data, as I said, the Excel file that has been compiled by all the partners. You import it here, and you can see it directly in the different sections, or you can enter directly in each section and report the information. You choose your reporting period because we ask each project to do it for each reporting period, so we can assess the monitoring from time to time. And for example, here, I take one partner and I will put for the reporting period for the 6 months, how many people worked for the project for this partner, from which country, an average working surface area per person, and an office type to say more or less if it's an office with or without air conditioning, an open space, a closed space, because with this information, we can have an average calculation of the carbon emissions of one people working full-time on the project, for example, depending on those information. If there are some saving practices in your office or not, but we don't ask, you know, the bills, the electricity bills of the region or of an university, because we know that this is impossible. So it's an average that has been calculated by the system, and which we can also update when necessary. And we save the entries here. For example, here I have some entries already from the partners with the number of persons, etc. The same goes for travel. Here you can allocate a partner, even a work package and an activity, but it's not compulsory. You can also put it at the level of the project or the partner in general. And you will choose your flight information, or train, or car, or bus, or boat, with the destination, the airport, etc., some information in order to have the carbon emissions calculated for each of the trips. The same goes also for the accommodation, for example, with the type of hotel, the number of people, number of days, the countries, etc. And for the events also, so the duration, the number of attendees, the location type, the location in square meters, etc. So you have here the data on the event venue and on the food and drinks also for the events, because it's one of the best of the more important, let's say, element for the carbon footprint of the project is the catering of our events also. So here you have the number of meals, the meal size, it's a full meal, light, coffee break, the meal type, if it's vegetarian, mixed, or meat, and still you have an average that comes here. And then the same goes also with some communication material. So let's see here that we have the main type of activities implemented by any project. The meaning is really to try to start the change with some steps. So we start with those activities that are common to all, in order also to make people change their mind and behavior on the design of those activities. And here for the material, for example, if you have posters, pens, paper bags, any goodies, etc. And just to say here that we decided at program level for this period, for all the goodies that the project, in order to be eligible, any goodie has to be to be approved by the program before, in order to ensure that it meets some criteria, which are, first of all, to be sustainable, to be really needed for the project in order to reach the objectives of the project. So, you know, to avoid to have, I don't know how many 10 or 12 goodies for one event, and with all the information we're getting one event, so that you cannot use them afterwards, etc., etc. So really for us, this step is really important. And in complementarity. And of course, if some project wants to go further with the other here, yeah, I don't have it now on this project because it was not planned, But you have the possibility also to add anything else that the project maybe knows the carbon footprint of its specific activity, for example, a pilot activity or something else, etc. And then you have the results here, on the carbon results. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why now I cannot change. Okay, it's just that my internet is quite low. I will wait. Okay. I wanted to show you how the results are communicated, but it seems that okay, it's maybe I can I had prepared some slides just in case, so I will use them. Yeah, for example, here you can see how the results goes, and by partner or at the level of the project or by activity, by work package or by type of office, travel, etc. You can you have, for example, here the emissions that have been generated. And in general, those emissions are translated into football parks. You know how many square meters in a park it refers to, just to have the because 90 kilos, it doesn't mean anything to people when you are not used to work with that. So to be meaningful. And then, of course, you have guidelines, user guide, and also some recommendations on how to reduce. So, for example, something easy for the meals, if you have a meat meal, the proposal will be to go at least for a vegetarian or a mixed proposal, for example, and then you will see that the carbon footprint will reduce. And also the tool is done in order to have also the possibility to have direct links to compensation action. However, as I said before, we don't use it for the moment, because also we wanted to work with compensation actions, of course, in the area, the program area, in order to have an impact directly on our area. And for the moment, those are not very, very developed in the Mediterranean. Only at the level of only some countries are now developing some compensation actions that are officially validated, because this also was important. We don't want to make a greenwashing with those compensation actions. It's really important to have some validated actions. So that's how it works. And for that, we have a carbon footprint coordinator at the level of the program and at the level of each project, that defines the strategy for the reduction and for the project, that ensures that all the projects implement the methodology, they report, they propose also to design or to redesign the activities in order to minimize the emissions, and they are our direct contact for the reporting. We do this assessment every 6 months, and by using the tool is really easy, because there is directly a PDF report that can be uploaded in GEMS with the progress report of the project. So it's really automatic and easy to use. And we ask, of course, the project and the progress report to propose any follow-up measures if they have some, in order, for example, to reduce the carbon footprint for the next period, etc. So this is how it looks. Of course, we are in a test phase with our projects now. So of course there are some technical bugs, etc., and difficulties we try to as any new tool we use. So we are working on that, but it's something that could be also adopted by other programs, for example, and then we could have the whole Interreg world carbon footprint, monitored and offset if possible. So I'm here to answer to any of your questions, of course, now or in the near future. It will be a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Sophie. And I can say many thank you to your thorough presentation, to your program Systemic and Thorough Approach in Sustainability, for being prepared for unexpected things and being able quickly to react and show, and also expressing proposal outside your program that there is possibility to develop it to the wider level, which is, I think, very, very important. But having this very concrete and very complementary to what America talked and shared presentation from you, I would like to give floor to our participants to ask questions from you. Dear participants, would you like to use this possibility to have questions now? Yes, I see. The floor and the rest is yours.
Thank you very much. My name is András Táros, and I'm representing the Hungary-Croatia Joint Secretariat. Thank you, Sophie. It was a very nice presentation, indeed a very good, let's say, tool, and it's a brand new thing, as I can see. I have several questions, like, so do I understand it correctly that you can use this tool during the preparation, during the how do you say that, the selection of the projects, or during the implementation of the projects?
During the application and the implementation. If I put the link here to the tool. So on the tool you have the login. For the login section with all the details, it should be for projects that have been approved under implementation. But the simplified calculator can be used also at the application stage by any project.
And have you already used it during the application?
Yeah. The project used
yeah.
it during the application, yeah, on a voluntary basis.
I don't know, because I haven't seen such a tool. So do you have like some kind of limit? If you see like there is a project and during the application, you can already see that there is a lot of CO2 emission that you can give, you said like they can redesign their activities.
Yeah, this is up to them. I mean, we don't enter in this during the application phase. Okay, it's really up to the project. It's a tool we give as a facility for the projects, so that they can here already put general information on the activities they plan. For example, if they plan, I don't know, 10 or 15 meetings in different regions, etc. They will put all the information in the simplified calculator, and they will get a calculation and estimate. And this can help them in redesigning their activities in order to reduce their carbon footprint.
Right. So
okay, but we don't use it for assessment. So be clear on that.
So you don't
really we don't save this information. It's up to them. And yeah.
So basically, you don't let's say you don't reject project application due to but you can give them some kind of guidelines. You can give them some recommendations to redesign
when they do that, they have access directly to recommendations on how to reduce. So some concrete recommendations on how to reduce automatically by the system. So it's a way to make mentalities change, let's say, and to see concretely what they produce.
So this is over the preparation phase, let's say. So what about the implementation phase? Because you were talking about during reporting, you can also get information about carbon footprint and CO2 emission. You see that there is a project planned several events and you see that the carbon emission during the implementation is pretty high. And you were talking about the compensations and recommendations, but compensations, they are not very much, they haven't been very much developed. Did I understand it?
Yes, for the offsetting actions, what at the beginning we thought that we could give the possibility to projects to already plan and to budget to take part of their budget for compensation actions directly during the project lifetime. But we thought about that a little bit better more, and we realized that it would be really difficult for the projects to have the time at the end of the very end of the project to compensate, to make this and for some also for some public institutions, for example, it can be really hard to procure this kind of actions. So, and finally, the visibility of those actions will be really reduced because each project will compensate something, of course, but it's not a big activity, let's say. So what we thought finally is to stop to the monitoring for the moment during the project. And once at the end of the program, we will have the information from all the projects, the carbon footprint they have produced, and we are thinking about an action we could do at program level to compensate at program level for all the projects together. And this would have, we think, a better impact. We think also that valorized compensation actions in the area will be, by the time being at the end of the program period, very much more developed also, because it's something that it's really moving now very fast. And yeah, and so for this reason, we find, even if we had some project that proposed some compensation actions in the application forms, we asked them finally not to do it for the moment.
Right.
Okay.
Last question of mine. So did I understand it correctly that it's been done through the GEMS monitoring system?
It's a tool. It's an independent tool that takes information directly from GEMS from the application form.
Right.
So it takes, for the projects that are approved, it takes the information on the partners, the activities, work packages, activities, etc. The contact also details directly, and through that we can give access to one person, which is in GEMS, reference for the carbon footprint. It's what but it could be any other contact person, let's say, to have access on it. Yeah. So that they don't have, they don't have to put any information on the project, and they can choose directly the partner, the work package, the activity, etc. So it's easier for them. So yes, it has been designed in such a way that the information is taken automatically to GEMS. So any change in GEMS will change there also automatically.
So in the end, you are going to have a lot of data, even if they are, let's say, only estimations of CO2 emission, but you will have a lot of data. It's a very interesting tool indeed. So thank you very much for your presentation. And I think so that it should be introduced to as many Interreg programs as possible.
Yeah, the idea is to start introducing the idea here, to share it with other programs. Also to share the difficulties that we can have in starting this activity with our projects, but it has been well received by our projects for the moment. We need some time now, to assess really in practice how it works, etc. But yeah, it's something that could be also then adopted, transferred in order to remain sustainable, for other programs.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for question, Andrea, and for the answer, Sophie, to you. I saw Inga, your raised hand, and now it's lowered. Are you willing
Yes.
to ask still?
Yes, thank you, Monica. Really, I appreciate this experience. It's really very, very interesting.
Sorry, Inga, I don't
don't
hear
hear me?
you very well. Is it an issue only for me or other participants? Can you hear well, Inga?
Can you hear me now?
No.
Better?
Yeah, now better.
Now it's better.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's my microphone doesn't really work well.
Okay,
I will try to
perfect
speak
now.
like that.
Mhm.
So it's I really appreciate for sharing this very valuable experience of the program. And of course, I'm interested in this tool. And when you were designing this tool, my question is, how did you, where from you took those reference values for calculating CO2 emissions? Like, is it some kind of standard calculator? Did you use something as a basis, or did you design it by yourself? So how much of input you as a program gave, and how did you reach those, no, more or less like this constantas, calculation constanta?
Sophie? I am not checking. At least I don't see Sophie anymore.
No, she seems to have been disconnected for some reason.
Okay, but I hope Sophie will come back. But maybe I will use the opportunity to say thank you for this first part, which was devoted to the presentations mainly and exchange. And I suggest, since we don't have I guess still Sophie with us back, that we make a 5 minutes break for now. It's a 37 at my clock. So can we meet in 5 minutes back, grab coffee, drink, move a little bit and get prepared for our exchange and group work. So see you in 5 minutes. 42 in Central European time. Nico, help me.
Yeah, at 2:42, 2:43, let's say.
2:43. Yeah. Thank you. See you soon. Back.
Sorry, I came back.
That's okay. Well, we'll have a short technical break now, and then you can provide your answer when we come back.
Did you manage to hear, Sophie, the answer, the question?
The last question, no, sorry.
Okay. So we'll start with that. Yeah.
Okay, we will start with that, and then we will move to the group work. But now 5 minutes break, okay?
Thank you.
Nice to have you back. Thank you very much for now. Okay? Hello, everybody. It should be time to come back, but I cannot get back my video. I don't know what happened. So sorry for speaking now without my video. Okay, let's see. But in the meantime, while I'm struggling with video, would it be possible that Sophie, you are ready to repeat to answer to the question? And the question was, where did you take the reference values for carbon footprint calculations from?
Yes, so the project that has developed the tool has developed also those reference calculations, and they took them from different sources, including some that were available, others that they have developed themselves. And so it's based on EU official documentation. It's based on peer-reviewed scientific literature, and also on life cycle assessment datasets. And everything is in our backend, and we can also adapt the figures if things are changing. For example, also we can yes, we can review them if we want.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I am very sorry. I have to say thank you for you, Sophie. Without possibility to connect you with my camera, but I really wanted to say big thank you in many ways for complimenting Marika's presentation. And when Marika said that, explained why do we behave as we behave because of our brain activity, I guess you put another side and you provided concrete numbers for us to change, easier for our partners to change behavior. So thank you very much. And now we are in the second part of the event where we have practical tasks. And I give floor now to my colleague Nicholas, and I will try to arrange my camera in the meantime to get back with you. And Nicholas,
thank
floor
you,
is yours.
Thank you. Okay, well, for this second part, we had planned some kind of group work where we can carry on with the discussions that have been very interesting so far. Considering the number of participants now, and the fact that we are quite a few Interreg colleagues as well, maybe it will work just as well to keep it as we are now, because we are essentially the size of a small group, but to carry on with these discussions, with these guiding questions. So we've seen from the two examples shared that there are some approaches that can be considered at program level, either from a more inspirational and personal point of view, or from a more, let's say, operational and structural point of view. And we know that in many other programs there are some examples of how we can raise the sustainability topic in terms of consciousness and engagement in the way we operate as programs. So the first question to you all would be, do we do enough? And I think we've covered that potentially, even if we do certain tasks, certain aspects, there's always room for doing more. And in any case, there are some obstacles that would prevent us from implementing that, putting it in practice and overcoming those barriers. So what do you think at your level those obstacles could be? What could be what is putting the brake on your good motivation to make those kind of changes in your programs? Any thoughts? are you getting inspired by the information shared so far? I presume yes. And at your program, maybe we can start with at your program level. What are you currently doing, and what are you considering potentially doing in the coming years in this period? If anybody would like to share. Medicare, yes. Are you trying to?
Yes, yes, exactly. Thank you. Sorry, I'm somehow online and in a physical event, so plus I will soon be on the train going back home, but I will try my best to participate.
Thank you.
I wanted to say, I wanted to say somehow as a comment to what I mean challenges, obstacles, or what to do more. One thing that is also mentioned in the book that I've been referring to is routines, and how people are so hesitant to change their behavior, even if it would make a lot of sense, but we're just so routine ridden. And I think this is really the obstacles. But I was so impressed by Sophie's presentation, and I think really that's something where we could really consider spreading between programs. But yeah, so but that's another point. But routines and just, I mean, the resistance you face when making proposals on maybe the food served at events. I think, for instance, that's something that I think those who try to change things will face. So having a bit of peer-to-peer support on that, or sharing best practices or whatever could be good. But I think this really this I mean, visualizing things and having this calculated and really seeing the impact, I think that's a really good way of also maybe shifting those mindsets. So I was really inspired by this.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. I mean, the tool that is now being implemented by the Euromed program is very extensive, and the way that you've captured every possible element in the project implementation means that it takes a lot of effort and motivation from projects to actually comply with all this. But there are several elements that can be applied at any level, not even at project level, but at program level. If we start with these actually quite basic or sensible ways, but that we can directly have an impact on the catering we choose when we organize program events or the material that we produce. It's something is for sure a first important step, let's say, in this direction. Any other comments? Any other contributions?
If I may.
Yes, please.
When talking about sustainability, I think the main issue is what Marika said: resilience to change, inertia to change. Therefore, I think the regulations from higher level are necessary. I'm very impressed by the tool implemented by the MED program. But I think without we cannot hope that our goodwill or goodwill of society, of individuals will be enough for sustainability. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Indeed, that's the starting point. That's the crucial one, but some other factors are needed in order to make it happen. But changing the mindset, as we know, anything we try to do to implement change takes time and takes a lot of effort to reach that point. So,
I looked briefly at the book Marika mentioned, and I saw a pyramid presenting that there is that little effort from us may really support the sustainability, and it will be enough. But I think it needs greater changes to really achieve our goals in CO2 emissions. Okay,
Indeed.
I know everything matters, but I think at this point we are now, we need bigger actions and maybe from the above.
Okay. Above, you mean from the
Governmental level or from the program level, like limitations.
Okay. Would it be more at government level, national level, managing authority level, or commission level through regulation? What could help better in your case?
I don't know. These are really difficult decisions to be made by the governments, by the spatial planning, by politicians. These are really difficult decisions. Just maybe maybe that's what everybody what you said, that little steps matter, and with greater change in the approach of every individual, there will be greater approval of changes in the politics. Maybe, maybe, I don't know. Okay.
Okay. Sophie, please.
Yeah, if I may, I understand what you said, because it's exactly what we had also in mind with what we started some years ago with those guidelines for sustainable events, for example, that we started with. Even at the level of the managing authority, for us at the beginning, it was impossible to implement the guidelines because the public procurement rules of the region, we host the managing authority and the Joint Secretariat. It was impossible to put some green criteria in the public procurement for the events. But thanks to that, to these guidelines and to the work of the project, and also to the pressure that some of our partners put on us for our events, we have to say it, in order to have them greener, we had the possibility to, and we changed some things, and now we impose in our events, and also we impose it to the national authorities that are implementing events in their own countries for the program, to have some minimum requirements, for example, for the catering, etc., for the waste disposal in catering, to avoid some plastic bottles, etc., etc. So small things, of course, but and with so that thanks to this impulse we gave from the program, some authorities and even some quite large regional authorities and public authorities were changing their way of thinking about that, and they are imposing some green criteria in the public procurements. But for sure, and now things have changed also at the regulatory level at that on that perspective now. So I think that we quite achieved that, but it changed it takes time to change first the mentalities and the policies also, and the regulatory framework afterwards. However, if we always say that yes, it takes change, so we cannot change anything, nothing will change for sure. So a lot pushing some pressure little by little, etc. Maybe we can see some changes really, and the tool is also here to make people realize things. I could not share it with you, but now maybe I can just take 1 minute to show you what I wanted before. Yeah, so here you see the results of the report. And you see here, for example, the carbon footprint results, how many kilos the project has used of carbon footprint, how many hectares it means, by reporting period, by partner, by kind of activity, let's say, or and then how some indications, recommendations on how to reduce things. Some are obvious, but this can really help make the difference, and make when you see the things like that, say, okay, it's easy. And what was said in the comment here about the catering, for example, even if you are not a vegetarian, accepting to have a vegetarian meal during an event that has more than 100 or some hundred of participants, everybody will be okay with that. And it will make a big change in the carbon footprint of the event, so of the whole project. So really, it's something that is not a matter of regulation. It's not a matter of big change, just a decision in a public procurement to say that the catering will be vegetarian. I'm not vegetarian, so it's not that I try to, but I know that, and I understand that it has an impact. So for a big event, yes, why not? Why not? Little by little, we can do that. But for the projects, also the importance afterwards would be to work on the offsetting also, because it's good to monitor, it's good to see it and to change something by design. But what we cannot reduce, it's interesting to compensate it. And this is where here we have this information also at national level about for example, some compensation actions, and we could work on that more in the future. And the recommendation. So it was just to show you also this part, because I think it's the interesting part on the report, and before it was the connection was not good. Yeah, so I think that you're right. It's quite difficult, but we cannot still continue to say that it's difficult, it will take time. It's now, and we need at program level, at least what we can do, it's to work at program level on the program rules, on the program tools. It's what we can do in our professional life. So all the ideas we have, or all the actions we have, if we share them, we can quite easily adopt them from one program to another also.
Yes, absolutely. And I think to come back to the point of needing this political support or decisional support, if we focus on program level, what we can do with the team from the program coming up with the initiative of doing these small steps, then the most important is making sure we have the buy-in and the support, the understanding from the monitoring committee and from the representatives that are responsible for the program. This is the first step, and then we can go further. But this is what we can control within the program, and those authorities responsible for making decisions for the program, making sure that they are on board as well. Okay, Sana, please.
Yes, I would also like to comment that we've seen 30 years with the politicians. They won't change the system. It's individuals, like in every single change, like it has always been the individuals that have been driving the change, because so I think this is, in a way, it's good to realize that. And then I think we've heard like inspiring presentations from like what on a program level can be done, like one example, and what an impact it can have, and then also like on a personal level. And I really liked the picture Merike showed, that what kind of impact you can have if you implement these changes on your work life. And that's really like impressive. And yeah, and I think Euromed will have really huge impact, and I really admire what you've done. And I really got the impression that you are also, like, as a program, using your calculator and changing your behavior based on that. And I really, yeah, I'm really impressed, I must say. So thank you a lot. And I think, I mean, I'm quite new to Interact. I started last year, and I had my first live event this year, and we served vegetarian food. Yes, I mean, we had 60 participants. One of them commented in a feedback survey, and a few of them commented during the meal that should be meat. But that was 3 comments, and many more people said that this is a good initiative, because when we organize an event, we cannot always avoid flying, but we can have an effect on the I mean, both on the CO2 emissions and also biodiversity loss, because that's also, like, really important thing that we need to think about. So yeah, so I think, yeah, these efforts that we do, they are significant if we make them significant.
Well said. Thank you, Sana. Florin.
Yes, no much to say apart from what Sophia and Marika say, because I like the most. They said everything. But coming back to the real life, I mean, because I have the background in finance, and speaking about public procurement, every single step we can do at the level of the program, at the level of our office, it's good to do, because I'm thinking about the life cycle, the cost of the products. I'm thinking about the sustainability. I'm thinking about circular procurement, and everything we can do, we can change. And at the level of our program, our office, if we can change this to switch the mindset, referring to the resistance of the authorities, and thinking at the beginning to the lowest cost criteria, but not thinking to the best quality, best value for money when buying works, products. And this is a challenge. Yes, it's hard to implement. When referring to the green criteria, Sophie mentioned, yeah, we should do more. We should do a lot when organizing events, when organizing procurement to procure some services, some goods, because it's the best way to prepare the terms of reference to buy green products and to promote green public procurement in general. And I'm against. I said again, I'm against the criteria of the lowest price, because buying cheaper, it's we have another cost in the life cycle. But this is the hot potatoes we have. Speaking about public procurement, it's a long discussion, but step by step we can change the mindset. And so one more thing, just to advertise, even we don't really know at the moment if sure, but with my colleague here, Nicolas, and other colleagues from Interact Office Valencia, we want to promote an event we think to organize this autumn in September in Valencia, because Valencia is green capital this year, when inviting green projects from the programs. Last year we did it in Cyprus, when having mostly green projects from the region. This year we have promise from Cyprus and from Romania, from Cluj-Napoca, Cluj-Napoca was green, intended to be green capital in the past, but they are now promoting a lot of projects. And this is set for, let's say, for September in Valencia. And with your program, I kindly ask you if you can invite projects to be promoted here. It would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Florian. And I think that indeed the topic of green procurement is another way that programs have already been trying to make some impact. And yeah, so we're looking forward to more discussions on specifically the green procurement topic and sustainability in general during this event in September, and we'll invite you to that, and hopefully we can carry on the discussions on a very related and very practical way as well. And yet, if we don't have any other comments,
can I comment?
Melike,
I think I lost my hand somehow, but I will give you a
Okay.
little bit of seaside views.
Nice.
I just wanted to comment on this sort of the willingness or fear or waiting for guidance. And I really think, I mean, I agree with a lot of basically everything that has been said about that we need pressure from above and we need kind of guidance, but while we are waiting for it, I think we cannot just wait, but we just have to take action. And I mean, these good examples of this resistance, feared or real, for instance, for taking catering decisions. I mean, I think at this stage, we have all the facts. We are acting based on facts if we choose to leave out meat. And then maybe one or two people once in a while will be unhappy, but then someone would always be unhappy because of, I don't know, they don't like lasagna or they don't like whatever people don't like. So we will always have someone who's unhappy, but as long as we know why we are doing things and also maybe communicate the reasoning behind or the gains, I think that's another thing. So I would, like I said, and with this curve that we need to reach with the CO2 emissions, it's basically a like free fall that we need to do. So my feeling is just let's just do it. Great if politicians help us, but in the meanwhile, let's do it ourselves.
Okay, thank you. Yes, indeed. It starts from us. It starts from the inspiration, the motivation of one person, as we shared. So, yes. Guilherme, please.
Yeah, no, thanks, Nico. And yeah, no, just to add, I think I completely agree also with the power of procurement, as Florin was saying, and as Sophie was saying. I know it's hard, to start to address this and make sure you convince everyone, about, people have this mentality, this habit of, of the lower price and not value for money. And now if you include also the sustainability element, but definitely it's something, it has a massive power, and that's something that, we as Interreg can definitely support a lot. And also, I think we can also demonstrate the benefits. I mean, a lot of programs we work with, is SMEs, companies, that are working in the green transition as well. So this is also a massive element, and we can also demonstrate by that, because there is a massive opportunities for these companies, and I think the kind of support we can provide is also a very important one. So this can also be a focus, and as we're thinking also about the next post 27, everything, there will be a massive element into these economic benefits as well, and all the new technologies from the EU. So that's just to add, that can be another element for us to think of. So yeah, I think that opportunities are there. You can definitely continue, and I think Nico will mention also the new idea of working group, and we're definitely happy to support. So thanks.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. We'll have plenty of other occasions now that we have set the momentum, we can carry on the discussions. I think, Monica, before we wrap up, there were some other examples that we could share?
Indeed, Nico. Together, we plan to have Aurora program with us and to share very shortly also the AI experience, Interreg Aurora. And since they were not able to participate, I will just shortly mention the AI approach to this sustainability. They are trying to integrate sustainable development goals of UN in their program. For example, I mentioned maybe several aspects. How do they define a good Interreg Aurora project? First criteria is relevance for the program. Second criteria, cross-border cooperation. And the third criteria is sustainable development. So really bringing up sustainable development in the front next to other characteristics. What do? They ask projects to define to which sustainable development goals they are having positive impact. At the beginning of the approved projects, they organize a webinar to all projects related to that topic, and each project internally is obliged to have a webinar on the sustainable development goals and their project relation. So not very maybe precise input as it would talk their representative, but if you are interested, we can share their presentation on. You can go into their website and research more. I saw one program having video on sustainability explaining its importance. I don't recall the title now. I really was inspired also by Alpine Space program and their approach, including their example of their team, how they changed their behaviors, including document describing that, and also writing and inviting if you have any ideas how we as a team could be more sustainable in our behavior, please be in touch with them. So there are quite many inspiring examples to share, and I see some hand raised, so I stop talking here. Let's use activeness of.
Indeed. Thank you, Monica. Andrea, please.
Yes, thank you, Nicola. I'm Andrea, representing the Joint Technical Secretariat from IPA Atrion program. I think this tool presented by Sofia is really, really interesting. I'm really impressed by this very, very useful tool. I'd like to have two questions related to it. How did you manage to introduce this tool? Did you present it to the monitoring committee, and it was the monitoring committee approving it as part of the application package? This would be one question. And the second, what was the take-up by the projects of this tool? Did you experience any constraints from the projects? I mean, many projects many partners see the project as too administrative. Was there a kind of negative feeling from the project that it's an additional administrative tool, which is somehow adding to these administrative procedures?
Okay, so for the first question, first of all, the monitoring committee of the program of the 1420 program decided to launch this call for projects that will develop this tool in order to be implemented and used in the next programming period. So this was already a decision taken at that time that if it works, if we if the project have the capacity to develop a good tool, it will be used in the next programming period. And then, of course, it has been approved by the monitoring committee of the 21-27 period. It was presented to them by the team that has developed it directly during a monitoring committee with an online showcase, how as I did like now. And then we put it in our program manual as a mandatory activity for the projects, for all projects, to plan it in their work plan, in the application form. So in that case, it's not something that we add as an administrative burden afterwards. They don't know it afterwards. They know it from the beginning. They have planned some budget, also some staff costs to collect the information and to compile the information in the each semestral report. Of course, everything is not, fantastic for the moment yet. So we have some bugs, we have some technical things. Okay, but as it has been designed by project partners that are used to work with Interreg projects, they did it in a way that it will be as simple as possible in order to avoid this additional administrative burden, and in order to really to be sure that people will be keen to work on it, to use it, etc., and to be seen as something positive and not something negative. Of course, for the moment, for partners are still they are quite afraid of the work it can give to them. But as it has been developed, really, it's not a big deal. It's not a lot of work. They don't have to go and try to find some data information on their own. That's why it has been done in such a way that it's an average estimation based on some criteria in order to avoid that.
Okay, thank you, Sophie. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for all the exchanges. I think it shows that there's clearly some learning that we are able to do from each other, and I hope that for all of you taking part, you will leave this meeting with some practical ways of maybe how you can think in your program, in your context, how you could potentially apply that, or make steps towards making that kind of step up and change. We will go back to the presentation briefly, just to show you a few more ideas that we gathered as a summary. Monica, if you...
I think, Nico, if you could use opportunity since you had your mic open and talk, those are several slides we will skip now. You can read them through. Research on your own, I suggest, in order to finish on time. But I suggest, Nico, that you go on with another initiative coordinated by you, Green Europe Network.
Sounds good. So some of you who have been in programs for a while, you probably have come across networks around specific topics and thematics that Interreg has been facilitating. And there was one crucially on climate change. And as we know, all Interreg programs are working on the PO2 and Greener Europe topic, with many projects, many interesting results coming up. So we are now reviving this network or thematic working group, as we call it, because just to make sure that we cover all the expectations from this kind of grouping of programs. But the idea here would be to provide as many opportunities as possible for programs to come together and showcase the great achievements they have in terms of Greener Europe, starting from the diversity of topics that are being covered, from energy to biodiversity to circular economy, and how any of these are applied to indeed all the other elements that we cover as Interreg. Tourism is taken a lot as an example of projects that of course may have some green elements in terms of making it more sustainable, but also you have a lot of tourism projects that are linked with PO1 or PO4. So the idea here is to sort of join forces on the Greener Europe topic and support you in that way. So throughout the year, we will have more and more opportunities to come together on online events and physical events, hopefully as well, towards the end of the year. Many communication campaigns supporting you in this as well, so your contributions will be welcome. The next very soon occasions happening and promoting the strength of Interreg and the added value of cooperation when developing sustainable solution at the EU Green Week next week in Brussels, and at the EU Sustainable Energy Week from the 11th to 13th of June in Brussels again. And that's actually for this, if you have any star projects on the topic of energy that you're really proud of and have some very visual materials that you could share with me, that would be excellent, and we can make sure we promote them at the event there. Or some contribution at program level that you can showcase on everything you've achieved in terms of energy. So this is one aspect from the thematic working group and working together in this capitalization effort as well. There will also be some other opportunities for the other policy objectives. The one on social Social Europe is already active for several years, and there will be some new ones coming up as well later in the year on innovation and transport. Okay, so this is to present to you this next opportunity. And I think on that note, we can maybe just finishing on giving you the last words on highlighting what you will take away from this webinar. What would be your key message that you have been inspired by, and what you will also share with your colleagues potentially after this meeting to say, this is what potentially we could do. So if you would like to just drop a few words in the poll here on what is your key takeaway from the webinar, and also if there are some ideas that we haven't discussed today and that you would like us to explore further as a group, what would be the next steps that we can discuss in the next event?
Indeed, feel free to fill in this information. If you come up with some idea for our future Interreg service, don't hesitate to write us an email or call, talk to us. We will appreciate any message received on that from you. So while you are now maybe writing, if you feel so, I wanted sincerely to thank you for being here today with us, for your exchanges, for your ideas. Special thank you for our presenters. I would like kindly ask you to help us to improve and therefore fill in a feedback survey, which is now shared in our chat. And of course, we will share it also later on via email. Nico, do we have some takeaways or some proposals already now, and are we ready to share?
I was making sure I was leaving enough time because I see now that some contributions are coming through. So I will leave maybe a few more seconds if you're still typing.
Perfect. Let's wait a little bit.
I can only either end the poll or let it on. I can't. If I end it, you won't be able to write. So I see now that 5 have responded. Thank you very much.
Yeah, maybe in the meanwhile people are writing, there was another contribution in the chat, and maybe just to draw the attention on what Irene wrote. She cannot really speak because she's traveling on the train, very sustainable, but she thinks also it should be considered to use foresight tools to also analyze impacts of actions and also awareness level, cause effect dynamics, and to capitalize on projects and program in a logic and a context of sustainability. I think this is also an idea to consider, definitely, for the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nico,
Thank
are
you.
we ready to share?
Yes, hopefully I'm not going to cut off anybody still typing, but we have 6 now. So I will
It
end the
should
poll
be
here
fine.
and I will share the results. Let me know if you can see them. Can you?
We see only percentage, but not inputs.
Uh-huh. So let me do it some other way. Like I did earlier.
Great. Let's try.
Okay. We will improve on this for sure. Can you see my screen? Not the results though. Here, can you see them?
Now, yes. Inspiration and sense of community, the Euromed tool. Yeah, again, introduction of carbon footprint and sustainability monitoring in the whole project life cycle. Individual efforts matter and can lead to changes in work settings. The check of Euromed calculator. I think it's one is not in English. I'm not.
The message in Italian says that the resources are there, the skills are there, and the tools are there. So we just need to, make it put it in practice to make a difference. If I get it correctly.
Great.
And work together on this, like network on this as well. Share our experiences.
Okay, and if you could scroll down a little bit to see the ideas which use the thematic work group to promote project results at the EU Parliament, thematic DGs. Okay, maybe let's do so that we will come back to this and share with you with some short report after the event, since we are over time. But you maybe still can read a little bit. Nico?
I will highlight this comment about specific mechanism or scheme for environmental sustainability about PO2 projects, because indeed we fund so many projects providing sustainable solutions as tools developed for territories. And how do we make sure that this is also linked to sustainability practices that we can implement across the board? So this is a good point for me to take on as a future point of discussion in the PO2 working group as well. So thank you. And thank you overall from my side for all your great contributions. And it's been really a pleasure to have you with us this afternoon. And we'll see each other very soon for sure.
Nico, could you share last slide?
Sure.
Just 1 minute. We wanted to thank you from the bottom of the heart, from all of us, for devoting time and sharing your experience, your approaches today during our webinar. And maybe I will finish with the sentence: one drop of water is quite alone, like a single person, but many drops can create waves, rivers, and oceans. Here is the picture from the Baltic Sea, where I live nearby. And I would invite to spread the message, to exchange, to keep in touch whenever you have ideas with other programs with us. And let's keep working. What we will do regarding our next steps, we will meet in bigger group in Interreg, and we will discuss how to continue further with our services for the sustainability. So if you have any ideas, don't hesitate to be in touch. Thank you one more time. We wish you a lovely afternoon and nice, inspiring, and maybe sustainable upcoming summer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.